Okay, so the other side of the spectrum, because in the one side we have positivism, the other side is called interpretivism. This interpretivist paradigm is, if I can call it, the opposite of positivism. In this paradigm, we don't assume that reality is there to be discovered. We assume that reality is actually constructed by our interpretations. For example, if the day is sunny, that doesn't automatically think, or that doesn't translate into saying it's a good day. Saying it's a good day is an interpretation, and if what matters is the interpretation, it doesn't really mean if it's sunny or not. What matters is the interpretation, not the fact that it is sunny or not. So that is one difference from the positivist paradigm to this interpretivist paradigm. In here, we don't assume that reality is totally objective, that because it's sunny, everyone in the world will think it's a good day. It is up to interpretations. Then the other thing is that we drop the idea of discovering, but we focus a lot on interpretations again. We don't want to discover, we want to interpret something. So because of that, we drop a bit the objectivity of the scientific method, and we bring the subjectivity of interpretations. Maybe now it starts to maybe there are some sparks in your brain and saying that's not science. Science is always objective, and this is the new approach to science. It's quite new. I think you probably didn't learn from this in high school, but it's also science. The idea of understanding interpretations is as valid and as scientific as discovering facts. It's just different approaches, but both are very scientific. And if we talk about the methods, we will talk a lot about methods, but the idea is not to test statistically, but to show how the interpretations are made. We will talk about the methods in a second. Maybe this table can be useful for you to understand what's going on between positivism and interpretivism. Here is like a quick comparison. In positivism, we assume that reality simply exists, that we are just in there discovering reality. That's why it's in here, discovering, that the research and the researcher should stay as separate as possible. That's why in biology you have everything in a lab where you don't interfere, all of these things. We use quantitative methods, numerical objectivity. Try to write in your notebook all of these keywords: objectivity, discovery, separation between research and researcher. And again, as I say, it's intensively used in natural sciences, mathematics, chemistry, physics. On the other side of the spectrum, and again, remember, it's a spectrum, it's not a coin, it's not two sides, it's a spectrum. Like the most extreme spectrum of positivism is like that. The most extreme version of interpretivism is like it's in here. Reality, we assume that reality doesn't exist just because it exists. That reality exists because we perceive it. Through that interpretation of reality, we make reality exist. The most extreme version, that is super extreme, says that nothing really exists. It only exists because we can interpret it. This is very extreme. That's why I say it's a spectrum. But that is one side of the research philosophy paradigms. Then again, try to write in your notebook the keywords. We drop discovery and we focus on interpretations of perceptions. We focus on how we interpret these perceptions of reality. In here, it's very close, the researcher and what we are researching, because interpretations are very important. I want to highlight the subjectivity of how things are being interpreted. So I need to be very close. And now we drop a little bit the numbers and we focus on qualitative data that is rich in meanings, in interpretations. So I care a lot about how it happens, what happens in there, and not really tell me from 1 to 10 how you feel. I feel 8. That doesn't tell me a lot. I need data that is much richer, that tells me what's going on. So in the next one, I will talk about very strange words that probably you have never heard, but probably this will help you to understand better the paradigms. But let's stop the video here and go for coffee, because next video is going to be very crisp.